Well, I think we'll go ahead and we're going to just move into our next presentation here. One of the things that those who know me well know that I am very much for leadership education, and I will find any excuse to make that happen, whether it's in a local organization, in a business, and or when I can influence it in another organization. And I come from that because of someone who influenced me. We have a board member, her name is Carmen Lechtenberg, and her mother is a retired extension professional. And Phyllis was so kind as to include me in some education that really hit home. It was about multi-generational workplaces, multi-generational organizations, and understanding why people do things, looking at the personality traits, our differences with within boards and things like that. And it's something that I have used as a trainer, as a coordinator, and then as a volunteer. And so that is one of the things that we're going to be talking about when I made the comment that make sure that you recruit people that are different than yourself. And that would be an example of, I am an accountant kind of by trade. And if I had a whole board of accountants, we might never get anything creatively done because we just like to look at numbers. So how we recruit and who we recruit, how we include different groups that is an important thing is in a recruiting tool. When we do things that are different though, sometimes we can have some conflict. And so we need to understand why people do things and why they conflict. And so Brandy and Karen, I believe, are going to talk about some of these kinds of things in their next workshop. So I'll turn that over to them whenever they're ready to start.
That would be fine. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brandy Vandewall. I'm an extension educator in Fillmore and Clay counties, located here in Geneva. My focus is in 4-H youth development, and I've been here for a little over 15 years, and I'll let my colleague introduce herself.
Yes, I'm Karen Wobig, and good after snowy afternoon here, as probably most of you are experiencing. I've been an extension educator for a number of years. I started as an assistant here in Lancaster County and am located in the Lincoln office. I became a unit leader / I guess lead educator now about 6 years ago. And so haven't been in this position the whole time, but have been in extension about 21 years. So Brandy, back to you.
Yeah, so Karen and I were asked to talk about recruiting and developing board members while managing generational differences. So the really good thing about both of us presenting is Karen comes from more of an urban background and I come from a rural background. So you kind of have a couple of other perspectives from us. And we also want this to be as interactive as possible. You know, you've all been, sitting in front of the screen and everything. So we have a couple little polls here and some other things. We kind of want your feedback and some other information. So if you've never participated in a mentee before, you can actually, I have the QR code, so you can just use your phone and it should take you right there to our poll. If not, you can type in mentee.com and then there is the code that it'll ask you to put in. And for those of you who are there in the room, there should be some sticky notes. So feel free, you can just kind of write on some sticky notes and Hillary can collect those and you guys can kind of share those in person as well. So I'll give everybody just a little bit of time to pull up your smartphones, or you can also use your computer and just kind of minimize the screens there. So give you just a little bit of time to pull that up. And what we're really wanting to know first is why you wanted to become an extension board member. So why are you part of NACEB, or why are you an extension board member? So I'm going to go ahead and go to our poll here and oops. if you didn't quite get there, the link and stuff will show up here on the Menti here. So look at that, you guys are getting there. And the cool thing about this Wordle is that if a lot of people type in build or serve, then the word will actually get bigger. So we'll be able to actually see what are some of those key reasons that you all decided to join Extension Board. So it looks like build, growth, future generations. I like that. That one popped up pretty big. Serve, that's a big one. We truly appreciate all of you willing to serve and volunteer. Community pops up there. Make an impact. Science-based. I was asked to be on one, and I know I've had a chance to participate. I've heard sometimes it just takes that one ask, and then you're hooked. To support, interest. What are some other ones I might be missing there, Karen? Asked, passion, promote. But serve definitely is coming to the top, and community also seems to be kind of coming to the top. So again, we certainly appreciate all of the time and dedication that you have. And these are also some other reasons when you talk to recruiting other board members, you know, share your story. We're talking a lot about stories, and kind of share why you decided to join an extension board. And you know, education came up there, and hopefully I always hope that a lot of my board members, whenever I leave a meeting, have learned at least some other nugget of extension that they can share. So these are
passion there too, Brandy. So
and passion, yeah, and share experiences. Kindness, but I could let this go all the time, but I know for the sake of time, we have to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll and go back to Karen.
all right. So today, Brandy and I really just want to share some ideas. There's no right or wrong way to do things. And depending on the situation of your board, your county, maybe it's multi-counties meeting together. There's just so many different variances across Nebraska with extension boards that what we're doing today is probably sharing ideas that maybe one or two might help grow your board. So one of the things, of course, that is first to look at is recruitment. And the thing that I noticed today, almost every segment of what's been talked about tied together some way. And there were multiple things that I know Brandy and I were probably both thinking, oh, that's just what we're going to be talking about too. So it'll be fun to kind of look at those. But in thinking about recruitment or just going and searching, as has been mentioned, you know, ask your current board members, the commissioners, your staff. People, so many different people will have ideas. We currently on the Lancaster Extension Board have two of our officers actually that literally were brought forth to us from staff. They had a connection in some way, and they said, hey, this person would be great for the Extension Board. And here they are, they're serving as officers right now. So, you know, sometimes we advertise for things. This was brought up, I think, by maybe Dave Varner a little bit in those four areas he was talking about, but program area representation. Nebraska Extension has probably 7 or 8 or so program areas that are focus areas. In looking at who you have on an extension board, that's one thing you might want to look at. You know, do we have these areas represented? Ag representation, I've listed that out almost separately, even though that's somewhat of a program area. Any place in Nebraska, basically, there's going to be agriculture. If you just take Lancaster County, we're 24 miles by 36 miles, roughly. It's a big county. Right smack dab in the middle is Lincoln, but all the way around it, on all sides, is farming communities. And so, you know, if we think of Lancaster as just urban, that's not going to have a good representation then. So make sure, and of course, throughout the state, I think that's probably something that always does occur on your boards, but ag and then business, you know, all of us are associated with towns or cities or villages that have businesses. Thinking about if, certain businesses are represented that might make a difference in that realm on your board would be something to consider. One of the biggest ones, and one of kind of my passion area, is board diversity. I tell you, I'm always like counting, how many males do we have? How many females do we have? So I'm looking at my little picture description all the time, counting those up. Certainly age is one of those things that needs to be looked at. And then of course, race and ethnicity. Are you representing all the people in your county on your extension board? Just something to always consider and keep in mind. A lot of extension boards have some requirements with them related to districts. Some only, they specifically then get people from certain districts. We aren't probably in Lancaster quite as specific with that. But then when we don't have someone representing an area of the county, we tend to look at that as one of the criteria that is focused on, for instance, for whatever year it is. So do kind of look at where you're representing, where your board members are representing, what areas are being represented on your board of your county. I also like number 8, knowledge of extension. I think that's something we think we should have on a board. Maybe not. Maybe we seek people that don't know about extension. We've heard earlier today, what is it, 70%, I think, maybe don't really know what extension is. Wouldn't it be great if we get a whole bunch of people on extension boards that didn't know about extension and then now would after serving on a board? So definitely either one of those is a good way to think about recruitment. New perspectives. Deb, you were just talking about perspectives of kind of why people serve and how they end up on extension boards. And certainly, aim high. Don't ever think, and this was kind of talked about as well, don't ever think that, oh, that person, oh, no, they would never be able to have the time. Maybe they would. And as Dave's great example also was, 10 people said yes. So aim high on that, definitely. All right, Brandy, back to you.
Okay, and yeah, so yeah, the aim high, Dave inspired me of one of our lead educator meetings. He had said, go ahead and, aim high. And on the Fillmore County board, since we have a pretty large hospital here, we have a lot of employees there, I thought, it would be great maybe to get the hospital administrator. And then, Dave kind of put that out there and I thought, oh, he's so busy, but you know what, I'm going to ask. And you know what, he's on our board. So you just never know who you can get. So don't sell yourself short. And we're going to have another poll here. So kind of looking a little bit at some age diversity here. So again, go ahead and go to the Menti site or put in the QR code. It should already still be up on your phone or your device. If you were already on there. So let me move this one over here. So this is just kind of your best guess. And Karen and I just really want you to think there's, obviously no right or wrong answer, but what if you could guess, what is maybe the youngest extension board member that you currently have? And again, we're not going to pull out any birth certificates or anything, but we just want to kind of get an idea of where we might be coming from. And actually very impressed. We have quite a few of the younger ones. That is awesome.
Oh, that is great. Yeah.
18 to 24. That's amazing. Kudos to those board members. I was telling Karen, I was pretty excited because I'm having one of my a former 4-H'er join a extension board, and so I can tell I'm starting to get here, be here a lot longer. But sometimes, getting those younger ones, they're the future generations. That's what came up earlier. And so we certainly need their input. So very good.
I do know that there's some 61 and older. on this call. So I think it just didn't get on there, but we'd have a little, we'll definitely have a representation there as well.
Well, that's the next question here, Karen, is what is your best guess for older members on your board? So we need seasoned, we need young, but we need veteran seasoned board members as well. So
sorry, Brandy.
There you go. No, okay. There you go, Sarah.
Okay. That's funny.
So we're obviously doing a really good job of hitting maybe that other range there, but I'm honestly very impressed with some of the board members that are in that 18 to 24 years of age. That's amazing. That's the future. So, okay, now we're going to talk a little bit more about generational differences here. So well, these are kind of small here, so I'll go ahead and read these out loud. So what generation are you classified as? So if you were born from 1925 to 45, you're a traditionalist. You guys are must be able to see it there, so won't read them all to you, but just kind of a little curiosity poll for who's on today. A lot of the boomers are in the lead here.
Ah, there we go. We got the Gen Z represented.
Very good. Okay, thanks for playing along. We want this interactive, so type questions, type things in the chat box. And the other thing, Karen, and I want to mention is that we are just two extension educators, two lead educators across the state. So there's no right or wrong way to do any extension board meetings or programs or recruitment. So we want your ideas just as well. Okay, we're going to save this one for later. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint slide here. So some of you have maybe heard these generational differences before. So you have the traditionalists, the baby boomers, the Gen X, the millennials, and the Generation Z. And so obviously one of the things we need on our extension boards is that diversity of age, because we all look at things through a little different lens. And so what exactly are some of the traditional characteristics that we might see of these? So I looked up here, traditionalists. This is a lot of information, but I want you to take a look at motivated. What are these, this generation motivated by? Go ahead and put in the chat box, or you can even unmute yourself if you want. Notice personal touch. They want handwritten notes instead of email. So thinking about communication style when you're reaching out to your extension board members that are traditionalists, they maybe prefer packets in the mail or some of those types of things. And then the other thing I found interesting when I found these slides here was it talks about employers should, and for traditionalists, it says provide satisfying work and opportunities to contribute and emphasize stability. So while extension board members obviously are not employees, think about as an extension board or as extension staff, these are some of the other ways and things that you can do to motivate the traditionalists. So, provide some satisfying work, give an opportunity for them, board members, to actually help.
And loyalty and respect were typed in the chat. So.
Oh, good. Yeah. Thanks for monitoring that, Karen. Appreciate that. Okay, whoops. Okay, so if we go to baby boomers, okay, so we have baby boomers. What are some ways that we can keep these board members engaged? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting crazy here. I see any of those in the chat there yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. So communication style, they want whatever is most efficient. So it might be face-to-face, it might be, we've been really comfortable with Zoom, some of these methods here. Your lifelong learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also I found it interesting at the bottom, it says that they like some coaching, to offer some coaching style feedback. So even as other extension board members, provide some of that kind of coaching feedback, or I think it's amazing that some of the board members earlier talked about attending a meeting for everyone in their county. That is just amazing. Kudos to you. So know how to work.
knowing how to work. I think the workaholic, definitely. I'm pretty much right in the midst of the baby boomer group. I used to think those were older people, and now I guess I've hit with the idea that I guess I'm one of them. But at any rate, yeah, that whole team-oriented thing, tending to stay in one place. They don't job jump. I think that's a attribute for sure.
And I see results driven too. So, you know,
Result-driven.
again, I would guess probably wanting someone to have kind of more of a purpose for the meeting, you know, not just a meeting to go to a meeting. So if we look at the next one, the Gen X. So we look at these, they're motivated by, you know, we get into the work-life balance that, you know, that's becomes really important. And one of the interesting things, when I first started Extension, we had board meetings at 7:00 p.m. and we started to have kind of a lower attendance, and we just kind of asked, you know, does 5:30 work for everybody? And boom, it worked. We started to have quorums. And so sometimes just thinking about if you have, you know, members that have young kids and stuff, maybe if it works for everyone to move your meeting time up, that can maybe have them come a lot better. What are some other things? Let's see here. Have anyone there? Provide flexible work arrangements. So again, maybe provide flexible opportunities to meet. Extend opportunities for personal development. So sometimes at our board meetings, I'll provide little kind of nuggets of information, not a lot of personal development, but hopefully providing those opportunities for board members to seek other opportunities. Focus on efficient meetings. Yeah, and importance of family time. Absolutely. So at our board meetings, we are pretty strict with, I should say I have the 2 counties. At Fillmore County, we pretty much go for about an hour because we meet 7 times throughout the year. Clay County, sometimes we go an hour and a half because we only meet 4 times throughout the year. So again, it's going to be specific to your board for what actually works. And the Gen Ys here. What motivates our Gen Ys? How can we get Gen Ys to meetings?
Have a competition at every meeting, and then
Davis, have fun.
Having fun, meaningful results. Yep, all of that for sure.
You know, we did at our last or some of our December meeting here at Fillmore County. We did. We learned how to do. Not charades, that would be fun. We could do charades. Pictionary through Zoom. And so we had our board members team up, and they had, I gave them different questions that they had, or different things that they had to draw. And they were like programming areas and things like that. And we even had board members get UNL. That was pretty creative. So, you know, there can be fun. Board meetings don't have to be, you know, they shouldn't be boring. They should have fun. Another thing here I noticed about Gen Y is they like those personal connections. So, you know, again, reaching out to them, letting them know, you know, why they're there, that they have a huge impact in leading us with the future as well.
So Brandy, there's a lot of text or chats here. So the communication and engagement between meetings, purpose for the meeting, flexibility, willing to meet by Zoom. We definitely know that. They like reminders, texts. Again, the word fun came into play. Multiple modes of action, of interaction, friends or acquaintances involved. So yeah, great thoughts there being shared.
Yeah, and thank you so much. Yeah, one of the cool things about some of the extension boards that I've had in the past is, you know, coming from different parts of the county, is by the end of, you know, the whole year, they kind of get to know each other and do form those friendships and are able to get to know each other better. So last but not least, Gen Z is here. So what are some things here that you notice? And if I remember right, some of you did have the Gen Zs in there, which is amazing here. So, you know, instant message, text, social media. You probably noticed Extension does a lot of social media promotion and stuff to get our programs across. With COVID, we have gotten a lot better with Twitter and doing videos and those kinds of things. Again, work-life balance definitely kind of comes out here. So again, looking at meeting times. I know there are some extension boards, if it works, they can meet over the noon hour. And then one of the other things I think important for Generation Z too is letting them provide time for input and ideas. Kind of looking at the bottom, allow them, they're kind of independent, allow them to be self-directed and seek out other input. And they're very innovative. What are some new technologies? Just ask some of the, your kids or anyone at home some new technologies, and they'll tell you and challenge you. I've learned a lot of things from Zoom through my youngest throughout this whole process too with COVID and stuff. So
Brandy, liking technology at meetings, someone chatted on there. So, and I noticed on that listing, the thing that really stuck out to me the most was the word global. If you go back to the others, technically years ago, we weren't ever thinking about, oh, I could go to, Japan and work. I could go to Norway and work. And, those were kind of ideas that were pretty far out there. And this generation is absolutely like kind of sky's the limit. So also there's one that says younger members need to be heard and to remain engaged. And that's very true. And Deb mentioned has never known a time without the internet or a cell phone. Oh my gosh. Or being without technology. So yeah, you don't want to use that phrase, well, when I was in school to them, they don't appreciate that.
Yeah, Sandra's got a great thing here. Teachers from Colombia, South America are using NEP materials. So yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things COVID, and try to think about the positive things, is that we have been able to reach even larger audiences than we have before, because we've gone, completely online. So very good. Excellent.
That is great. So I think as we are, looking ahead then, we kind of want to think about that encouragement of those younger generations to be involved in extension boards. Some of the things that we kind of found word-wise would be, maybe these are the things that you could say to someone or talk with someone about. Do they want to be a trailblazer? Maybe this is brand new to serve on an extension board for somebody. Maybe leadership development is important to a younger generation there. That goes on their resume. That's an awesome type of development that they can show that they were a part of. Call to action. We want them to be active, and they like to be active. And so I think just using input from them would be an enticement maybe to have them join. And, do they have a passion? I think of a few of the 4-H youth that I've gotten to know a little bit and have seen now around Lancaster County. And oh my goodness, there is a huge passion there for what they are involved in. Take that passion and move it into that extension board role. So, what motivates? We would like you to do a little bit more of a chat here for us. Would you either type in the chat, or would you use the sticky notes provided there at the meeting in North Platte? Here's the question we'd like to pose to you. What suggestions do you have for encouraging others to serve on a board? So not just younger, but what do you have? What's your suggestion for encouraging others to be on an extension board? Can be one word or a short sentence. We'll give you a minute to put some in the chat there. And if somebody at the North Platte site there, the in-person site, would like to just share, you can just talk too. So Dave Varner put out a specific question to Amanda. What inspired you to serve on your local extension board? Of course, Dave, that was Boone County. So of course, everybody wants to serve on a Boone County board. I'm from Boone County.
Oh,
exactly. That's what I thought too.
That's because Steve Pritchard's up there.
There you go.
Yeah, so I currently serve on the Boone Nance County Extension Board, but my, I guess my passion for, extension started back in Seward County. And I just had a lot of great opportunities to serve, junior leaders in 4-H, and then that led into being able to serve as a Seward County 4-H ambassador, which led to being able to serve on my Seward County 4-H council, all within my high school years. And so to have that much engagement that early on, I knew the possibilities of not only, people in their 20s serving on boards, but even younger. And I knew that wasn't happening across the state. And I came to learn, when I first got up to Boone Nance, there was no youth on the local 4-H council. And, now they have an ambassador program. And I just, like I mentioned earlier, my goal is to, now that I'm not exactly the youngest, how do we get those younger generations involved, and how do we let them know the opportunities that are out there? So I didn't want my involvement to just end when I turned 19 and was done with 4-H. So that's why I continue to serve and try to continue to get the younger generations involved, because as we're talking about, everyone has different ideas. And if you have, a lot of the boards I serve on, one, I'm one of the few females, and then two, I'm probably the youngest on almost every board that I serve on, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. So I'm always looking for ways to keep developing boards when it comes to that.
That is great. Thank you for sharing a lot of information there. And it sounds like, it's almost like a pathway. You're involved at one point in this type of thing, and then you move to the next step and the next step. And that's just amazing. So thanks. I'm noticing in the chat, there's a lot about giving back to the community, enhancing the community, making an impact, in the community, blazing a path. I love that, Michelle. And sharing expertise. And certainly that leadership growth is a good one too. And then I like this one. This is from Linda. I know how many hours staff put into coordination and programming. They need our support and encouragement. Absolutely. That is certainly an important piece. And expressing to the person, we need representation from community leaders like themselves in their area. That is definitely good. And loving the efficiency of Zoom and technology. So those are great ideas. And please, keep thinking along those lines as you reach out into your community to grow your board. Moving to that next slide, one of the tools we just wanted to share, this goes back a few years, I think, Dave. I'm not sure when you first kind of started on this, but a while back, there was a lot of this same type of conversation over we need more specific things for extension boards and have more information to a potential board member if they want to think about serving on our board. So Dave, I think, had come up with a number of things, one being an application actually. We here in Lancaster have had an application for quite some time, and once this was produced or developed, we just kind of tweaked the two and made it to fit what we wanted to know. But being able to have an application that you can give to anyone or send to them in an email and say, hey, if you've got some interest, fill this out. We do that often. And sometimes they don't come back, sometimes they do come back. And it's wonderful to get that information that we can then keep and have on file. Maybe we reach out to them the following year, if we have already filled. So these are located on on extension.unl.edu. I believe, Dave, if you'll correct me, under employee resources. and you find Extension Board there, and then you'll find a number of resources. So utilizing an application is really great. And then along with that, if you want to, yeah, there you go. We actually thought we need like a description too. So then this is another piece that Dave put together in Lancaster. And again, just an idea. We got together a little bit of a position description committee, and they spent an afternoon kind of going through all this and tweaking it to make it fit our county and our situation just a little bit more specifically. So you can do the same thing. If you think it's too long, you can just take out maybe some of those pieces or combine some of them, I think is the work that I saw the committee do. So again, sending a position description with the application is really a positive thing for people. And it really almost, it serves as saying this is like a job. This really is. It is an important position within Extension. And I'm sorry, we don't pay a whole lot, but it's definitely, Alan Blazek, for those of you who knew him, always was trying to get a steak dinner out of serving on this committee. And it was a standing joke in Lancaster County. But at any rate, definitely this is another tool that can be used. So if you want to move on, yeah. Regarding that application, these are just, again, more ideas for kind of how you could proceed through that application process. You sending that out along with that position description, and then we actually form a nominating committee. And again, maybe you do, maybe that doesn't work in your county, but we form a nominating committee that then either contacts those applicants and visits more with them, or sometimes I will make that contact and visit, whatever works for your area. But then when they meet, they determine how many positions are open, and then what are those important criteria that they're really looking at in that particular year. And then they determine what applicant, or maybe it's more than one that needs to be filled, that they could then go back and present to the Extension Board as a whole. So they do that. Maybe someone is designated to visit about how the process worked and why they chose what they did. And then the Extension Board can vote, and then that information is typically forwarded to the County Board of Commissioners. And so then that piece, is that on, yeah, that's kind of on the next one there. That once that application and request for appointment has been received by your County Board of Commissioners or Supervisors, a date can be set. And again, this is what we do in Lancaster, but maybe others don't do this. We set a date where they can appear before the board. So usually the lead educator, or and the EZC now, and then any newly voted in people by the Extension Board appear before the County Board and request that appointment. And so it's a little bit of a formality that the County Board does, but it's just a really nice way to connect and have them understand and know some of our board members. So newly appointed board members, and this was, I think I can't remember for sure who brought that up a little while ago, but okay, yes. So I just happened to notice, and I do appreciate that. Be aware and cautious. There are potential board members who will find being handed an application as a turnoff. Yes, that's certainly something to think about. That's where you know what works in your county, and that's what you need to follow. So absolutely, thank you for sharing that, because that is an important piece. again, one of the ideas that we kind of do here in Lancaster is we decided we'd put together kind of an orientation type of notebook. Again, just an idea. It could be an online type of orientation notebook too, but these are some of the things that we include in there so that everybody has the tools, I guess, that they can refer to. There's bylaws, the Constitution, the staff information. And again, I know we're a little different. Douglas Sarpy is probably similar to us. We have quite a few staff associated with this office. And so having the board members know who they are is honestly a pretty big task because we really can't have them all attend a meeting every time. It would be quite a bit. So definitely just giving information to a newer board member is critical to have them feel an understanding of what they're getting into. So we do put in commissioner and senator information and then the Open Meetings Act as well. We have wanted to welcome board members, and my apologies to the one we brought on last year, didn't get a great welcome. We have never met in person yet that came, not last year, but here in January. But usually we have some form of a little more of a fun welcome for a board member, and sometimes can gather staff together so that they know who the new board member is as well. So try to make it welcoming in whatever format you can. And I see another one that said an application went through the local Chamber of Commerce and it worked. And that is really a great idea. Yeah, all those are super. Just again, what works for you. Another piece, and you can go ahead and go, and this was taken a little bit by Mike Boehm. So I had some of this same information, but one thing I think is really critical for a new board member to just have just a bit of an understanding of why we exist. And so I always pop up this picture, and I usually ask, does anyone know this person? Are they your next door neighbor? I hope not. That would be a little creepy, but at any rate, this is, of course, a Congressman, Justin Morrill. And as Mike Boehm mentioned, 1862 was when it was enacted that states needed a public institution and via called a land grant institution. And I won't get into any more details, but at the time there were only the really wealthy attending any type of higher education. And so once this was enacted, and then as Mike Boehm also said in 1869, I guess, the University then of Nebraska became Nebraska's land grant institution. And so that was all good and well for a while, but come about 1914, another set of congressmen here said, you know what, people still aren't really being able to get and access research-based information. So they developed cooperative extension. Voila, here we are. And so 100 years, of course, passed in 2014. And some of you that have been around remember the celebration we had then. But that enabled the collaboration of federal, state, and county. And so then all that really came together. And that's why we're so appreciative to counties around the state, because they are making this happen for extension to cover everywhere in the states. And that's really a cool process. So I usually just want the extension board members to understand kind of how that happens. So one of my all-time favorite slides, you can go, Brandy, to the next one, is this one. I don't know why I like it so much, but every time I see an orange extension cord, I think of it.
I'm stealing it, Karen. I'm going to steal it.
Yes, Dave is probably going, oh my goodness, that's a stretch. But really, we are the extension. We are the local connection to research-based information. And so it's really fun to to just be that piece and acknowledge how important that is. So no one in the state should be saying that they don't have access to this research-based information is really the bottom line. So those are kind of the things that I think an extension board member should kind of know about. This just leads into some of that same type of information that I like to share, and just that, you know, we are the how-to kind of, and our claim to fame really in extension is non-biased, research-based. You know, we don't endorse products, and so much of what's online now is probably product connected. And so I bet all of you have been involved with people, either you've made a call or heard about a call coming into an extension office that says, well, I was on the internet and I saw this, this, and this, just wondered what extension thought about that. And it's really nice to be able to be an organization that can say, hey, we're just research based. This is what the facts and the research show. So I usually make sure that any board member kind of hears those kinds of words. So we really can follow up with a lot of emails, calls, everything after programs as well. It isn't just a one-shot deal with extension. The other thing is to make sure everyone knows what extension's mission statement is. And so I put it on a little card, I guess, and put into that orientation notebook so that they know this is the mission statement. Now, I hope I'm correct in this. I think at one time they were talking about changing it slightly, but at the current time, I believe, Dave, is this correct? Okay, he's got a thumbs up on that. So, it's pretty simple, but I think it speaks volumes. We enhance lives through research-based education. So I like always sharing that with board members and making them understand really what we do and why we do it. So moving forward then, once you've got your board intact, we thought we would just briefly address kind of what a meeting could look like. Again, all of this has to be fine-tuned for your situation. This, we just popped up here what our agenda looks like. We put the board members' names on the one side with their term, I guess, that they're on, and that just keeps it in front of all of us, everyone on the board, you know, kind of where we're at and how many will we be looking for at the end of the year, you know, to replace because they have termed out. We do in Lancaster have a 2-3-year terms limit on our board, but maybe some of you have something different. No right or wrong. Again, it's just something to always be kind of cognizant of and watching for what is coming up. And then we also do in our agenda, we make sure that we announce there's a quorum and where the Open Meetings Act is, as well as when we published the notice about the board. Now, some of this is related to what Lancaster County is directing us to do. But it's just, again, it's more transparency probably for everybody to know. And so just ideas for you. And then we go through, of course, the minutes and the financials and new business. And we do give updates, the 4-H Council, Ag Society, we attend those meetings, and the board members and myself, and we give a report then to the board as a whole. This is just one example. Brandy, do you want to share a little bit how you do that differently?
Yeah, so this was just kind of our most recent board meeting. So you'll notice just kind of the key points, I guess, that maybe, I don't know, makes mine a little unique or different is that kind of when the extension came out with the whole marketing piece and stuff, I always have, every time my board members will see some kind of a Nebraska extension marketing piece. So usually I'll have maybe a question. And so sometimes I'll pose a question and I'll send it out to the board members ahead of time. And maybe like kind of at the end of the year, I'll usually put something up there as far as what is one way that you have spread the word about extension throughout the year, or what is one key takeaway you've learned? And then sometimes in January, I kind of have board members try to come up with a goal for them to accomplish within that year. This last time, I talked about telling your story and kind of giving them a little bit of what they would be seeing at the NACEB meeting. But the one thing for, if there's lead educators I know that are on here, is when I kind of laugh when I first started this, I kind of got like silence and start, like, what are you doing? You're making us talk. But it's just really a way to get everyone more engaged. And I kind of laugh and said, I'm going to put on my teacher mode, and I know I have to count to 10, so I can handle the quiet if you can. And so it's really kind of come off as a joke, kind of a longstanding joke now between board members, because they know that I will be quiet until somebody has to speak up. And I know I think Nate is on from Clay County, so you can kind of laugh at myself as well. So, again, it's trying to have fun, but rather than just having us as extension staff talk the whole time, it really has kind of worked that I want to hear from my board members, what is out there, what are some new programs that we need to do, and just really having that kind of advocacy piece. Another cool thing, when we did have our extension centennial, I think a lot of county boards probably across the state did this, but we had our extension board members, serve dairy store ice cream at the fair, or if there are some of those kind of, fun events that maybe 4-H council is way too busy to help, sometimes extension board can maybe kind of fill those types of role. And I have had extension board members in the past even ask, well, what else can I do, to help? So that's kind of maybe one of the unique pieces there. And of course, there's going to be different types of action items. But I did promote, the picture scientist. I'm glad Dave had a chance to bring that up. And I did have a couple board members very interested in doing that, even within their school settings. And so the other thing that we usually do is we feature a different program area each meeting. So this one was just kind of our organizational one, but the next one we might focus on 4-H and youth development. And then the next one we might be able to zoom in with our crops educator and so on and so forth, so that, extension board members have a chance to get to know all of the other board members within their accountability region, really just as kind of that other educational piece. So if you have other ideas for, other board members or things that you all do, please, by all means, let those in the chat box. And Karen, were you going to say something?
Yes. So one of the Lancaster board members actually mentioned we do about the meeting times. We do meet during the day in the morning, actually at 8 a.m. And I don't know if somebody would have said that was successful years ago, I probably would have said, I don't know about that, but it actually is here in Lancaster for some reason. And we have people that have full-time jobs that are willing to meet at that early morning hour. We do try to limit, and I don't think the person that would probably laugh the most at this is on, but we try to be done in an hour and a half for sure. Sometimes it doesn't happen. We have finished early once in a while. Cindy will probably laugh at that too, but being a bigger county with a lot of staff really does kind of make that go a little bit longer. However, I liked what others had mentioned earlier about, keeping it at a limit and really trying to do that, because that's the hard part. If it goes on for hours, that's a tough one. So thanks for putting that out there for everybody. And yeah, whatever works for your county, whether it be at 8 in the morning or that night meeting, just do what would work the best.
Very good. Okay, so more interaction time here. Our last Mentee. So I want to get your opinion for what are characteristics of successful extension boards. So go ahead and put that in there, and I'll bring the poll up here. So the question is, why did you just, whoops, no, just kidding. Let me scroll to the last one here. Okay, what are characteristics of successful extension boards? Look at that, already some cool ideas here. They're passionate, inspired, visionary, purpose, appreciation. feel they're making a difference. That is one of the interesting things. One of my last board members I had sought out, I really appreciated that I kind of gave him a little bit different recruiting piece, but he really was interested in, if I come to a meetings, I want to make sure that I am making a difference, that I am doing something. So engagement popping up there, purpose-driven engagement with the community. These are all good ones here. Dedicated.
Those are great. Those are great. Yeah.
Yeah, engage with extension staff. Yes, that is key. We also, and it's going to vary obviously from county to county, but we always do kind of monthly reports, and then kind of just lets everyone know what's going on, where some programs coming up. I've also had extension board members take program promotional pieces out and distribute those to other co-ops or other places, and helped do those things as well. Willing to help resources and other people power people in the county. Very good. Supportive.
Oh, that one in the blue box is good. Give back for previous opportunities afforded by extension and 4-H. So, and we'll touch on that later too, but yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, so I'm going to let this kind of go just to see what everyone else has, and then I'm just going to kind of go into some of the other pieces that Karen and I came up with. But you guys are all coming up with some great ideas. So other things, extension boards, obviously people need to be present. I did have a board member at one point just wasn't able to come, and finally just had a conversation, said, is this just not working? And it just wasn't the right part in her life. And so she asked to be taken off, and that's fine. We all have different things that come on and happen and stuff. And so now, we'll be able to replace her with someone else. So again, being present is very important. Participate too, even when some of us give long pauses for wanting information, we truly do want to know what are some ways that we can help. Looks like most of these have stopped here. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the slide here. So, we're again recruiting the right people. It just always starts there. We're only as good as the people that we have on our board. And optimize meeting time. One of the things that we do is we send out minutes and kind of packets via email ahead of time, so that we don't have to take the time to read through all of those minutes, and just other things that I found kind of helped make things a little more efficient. And start end meetings on time, stay focused without interruptions. Sometimes interruptions can be fun, if it kind of depends on your board. Like I said, when we have some little games or stuff, those can be a lot of fun. And then follow up on actions or intentions. So we've had board members in the past, when we used to have a kind of a home garden show here. They actually came and helped set up the booth for me. I also happen to have a broken ankle, but they kind of really stepped up to the plate and helped out. And so we as staff definitely appreciate all of that help. Just some other things about board members that go the extra mile, so just asking and reflecting and challenging us on other issues. I've asked my board members before, why didn't we get many people to sign up for these different programs? What do we need to do? And they've provided us some really good information, and having to really look hard about, well, that's a really good point. We, maybe we don't need that program anymore, those types of things. Other things, I've asked board members, do we still need this in the community or not? And just really, again, that needs assessment is really important. Board members that go to campus that are a NACEB, so I would say all of you are definitely going the extra mile for being here. Contribute personal and professional expertise. We've got a lot of good conversations and been able to maybe improve our school enrichment by having a superintendent on our board that kind of has other connections and stuff, and able to help us figure out how we can better leverage our expertise in the school. And then, cultivating, recruiting new board members. So just always thinking about who might be another, board member that we might have, and really trying to get that diversity. And then routinely engaging key stakeholders too. So I've had board members come into county supervisor meetings with me before. When I first started off, it was kind of to come in, help with the budget. But now it's, if I've ever needed an ask or something that I thought, I'm not so sure, maybe the board, they might not want this, or if you have to ask for a new position, I had board members come in and let them do the talking. And, it's a lot easier for you as board members to make an ask of maybe increased funds or anything, rather than us as staff, because for us, it's our job. So of course we are going to want another staff member or whatever it is. So those board members that just have those connections with other key stakeholders in the communities are really important. Anything else on that one, Karen?
No, I think that's covered it. And I just will point out, this is more of the information that was provided a while back, basically from Dave Varner. So thanks, Dave, I think for all that work you did a few years ago. It still is all pretty vital information. So.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, we just, again, we appreciate you all for supporting Nebraska Extension. And I'm going to kind of wrap it up here with kind of Extension's value proposition. So Karen?
Yeah, this is just something to keep in mind as you visit with, potential board members, or also just with the current board that you have. I'm just going to read that first sentence, and it's: a value proposition is a promise of value to be delivered, communicated, and acknowledged. So as we move forward with this, breaking down a value proposition a little bit more, you can move to the next slide, Brandy. There's kind of two components to that: the private benefit and then the public value. And it's easy to see the private benefit. What is a little bit more convoluted is, what is that public value that happens as a result of extension programming? And so the private benefit is for that, person that's attending or involved with a program or a class or workshop or whatever. That public value is it's the value that occurs to those who don't directly benefit from the program. And most of you all know about what public value really represents, but I think Extension doesn't necessarily talk about this as much as we probably could. And so an example, go down to the little reactions at the bottom of your screen, and you'll see a thumbs up, I guess, type of thing. Please raise your hand or put in a thumbs up if you have ever eaten in a restaurant. And if some of you can't see that right off the bat, that's okay too. I see lots of hands there, so that's good. All right, so you ate in a restaurant, and the person that was working behind there cooking your food or serving you, they may have attended the ServSafe program. For them to be able to work in a restaurant, they have to attend they have to get certified, right? So Extension provides ServSafe programs. We don't all go to that, but that's something that they have to do. So that's the private benefit, right? That person gets employed because they attended that extension class. The public value to them attending that class is that hopefully you will have a safe environment and a safe food to eat. And that is huge. Think of if there were no training or no certification, think of maybe the possible food poisoning outbreaks that could be occurring. So the public value has to do with it as almost a side effect of that benefit from someone attending that class or that program. we're going to kind of end today, I think, with a really good public value and a story that Brandy has related to one of her 4-Hers. So Brandy, share that story with the folks.
Yeah, so like I said, I just hit my 15 years in extension. And when I first started, I had a youth who was, doing county fair projects every year, showing beef, and that was kind of the extent of his 4-H career. I have a program called the Innovative Youth Corn Challenge, which has allows youth the opportunity to basically do their own types of on-farm research. And so this youth started to get involved within this project, went to the banquet, was able to receive an award, and started to discover that he really was liking the crops area. And so actually went on to the University of Nebraska, received his agronomy degree. And fortunately, he came back home and is working as a seed salesman. And most recently, he is now our youngest new board member on the extension board. So it's kind of a whole full circle thing, and kind of gives me goosebumps thinking about a former 4-Her that has kind of, again, giving back. And that's one of the cool things about 4-H is that youth are more likely to contribute to communities and be more civically engaged in some of those things. So again, that just kind of tells why, why it is what we do. And it's really cool when you see those youth turn into young adults. So Karen and I just want to thank all of you again for sticking with us throughout this whole NACEB presentation, and for everything you do as extension board members. Us as staff really appreciate it, and you are really the cream of the crop by coming virtually or to North Platte. And thank you all for what you do. And if there's any questions or anything else, feel free to type that in the chat box.
And Brandy, I had one last thing to say too. One of the things that extension boards need to make sure that we do, and the staff as well, is to thank outgoing board members. And I know the NACEB is really good. They definitely do that with the folks that are outgoing from their from that organization in specific. But definitely make sure that you have some sort of a certificate, or again, it would be fun to have a meal together, wouldn't it? Or some dessert or breakfast or whatever it is to kind of celebrate, because it is a huge commitment by those of you who are serving and have served. And we really, Extension really appreciates that. So we want to make sure you feel appreciated when your term might be done. So yes, thank you very much. And type questions in. We can watch for a moment there as well. We probably didn't cover everything that we could have talked about, but we were trying to kind of keep it within that time frame a little bit. So hopefully you gained a little bit or started thinking about some things related to your own specific board and county.
Yeah, and as Dave said, we do have the certificates that we print off to our extension board members. And if you're a Clay County board member, you get a big Eileen's cookie. And then if you're Fillmore County board member, we, in the past, obviously this year we couldn't, but sometimes have kind of a little holiday party and yeah, make a few little munchies and stuff. So whatever works for your county. If you're in Saline County, maybe it's kolache. That's where I'm from. So that's what I would vote for. But thank you all for what you do.
Thank you, Brandy and Karen. Appreciate all your information.